category may also include some humans with mental impairment, and it already includes pregnancies that are in prenatal development. Plaintiffs in a Planned Parenthood case attempted to ask the court to render judgment upon the substance of interveners' initiatives and its constitutionality in advance of an election taking place on the subject. Justice Randy G. Pierce wrote, "This court is without power to interfere with pre-election proposals because to do so may place the administration of government at the footstool of the judiciary. This court will exercise judicial restraint and follow the reasoning of the majority of courts throughout the United States, both federal and state, which have articulated a policy of deference towards direct legislation processes. We cannot invade the territory of the legislature or the electorate to review the substantive validity of a proposed initiative, and thereby we will honor the maxim embodied in the constitutional mandate of separation of powers." Personal identity is problematic because of two issues: the diachronic problem and the synchronic problem. The diachronic problem is the conditions of which a person at one time is still the same person at another time, thereby persisting through time. The synchronic problem is what features and traits characterize a person at a given time. Proposed solutions are continuity of the body, mind and soul, consciousness or memory, personality after death, and the bundle theory of self. The proposal that there are actually no persons or self that persists over time is also an option. According to Black's Law Dictionary, a person is, in general usage, a human being, i.e. natural person, though by statute term may include a firm, labor organization, partnerships, associations, corporations, legal representatives, trustees in bankruptcy, or receivers. To have legal personality means to be capable of having legal rights and duties within a certain legal system, such as to enter into contracts, sue, and be sued. Legal personality is a prerequisite to legal capacity, the ability of any legal person to amend, enter into, transfer, etc., rights and obligations. In international law, consequently, legal personality is a prerequisite for an international organization to be able to sign international treaties in its own name. Legal persons, Latin persona iuris, are of two kinds: natural persons, people, and juridical persons, also called juristic or artificial or fictitious persons, lat persona ficta. Groups of people such as corporations, which are treated by law as if they were persons, while people acquire legal personhood when they are born. Judicial persons do so when they are incorporated in accordance with law. Today, in statutory and corporate law, certain social structures are legally considered persons. In many jurisdictions, some corporations and other legal entities are considered legal persons with standings withstanding to sue or be sued in court. This is known as legal or corporate personhood. H.G. Frankfurt writes that what philosophers have lately come to accept as analysis of the concept of a person is not actually analysis of the concept at all. He suggests that the concept of a person is intimately connected to free will, and describes the structure of human volition according to first and second order desires. Besides wanting and choosing and being moved to do this or that, humans may also want to have or not to have certain desires and motives. They are capable of wanting to be different in their preferences and purposes from what they are. Many animals appear to have the capacity for what I shall call first order desires or desires of the first order, which are simply desires to do or not to do one thing or another. No animal other than human, however, appears to have the capability for reflection, self-evaluation that is manifested in the formation of second order desires. A person is recognized by law as such, not because they are humans, but because rights and duties are ascribed to them. The person is the legal subject or substance of what the rights and duties are attributed. An individual human being having such attributes is what lawyers call a natural person. Representations and symbols are a good way in which to determine how societies have changed over the years. Let us look at the term Goya, for example, or Goy. At one time it represented 70 nations, each with their own language. The total number of children of Shem who went down into Egypt. Each candle of the menorah represented 10 nations, with 7 candles on the menorah. As time went by, though, the term became a racial slur representing the Gentile. There are some who believe that the Great Conspiracy is a hand where the Jews themselves are attempting to subvert the Gentiles in order to rule over them. There are many warnings to the Jews concerning God in the Torah, Talmud, and many other verses written on behalf of the Jewish people. One in particular is the warning to Israel concerning Egypt. We look at the great cathedrals of Europe, temples with images of demons, and the story of creation painted on the walls, ceilings, and windows, gargoyles which guard and protect their entryways. Symbols used for the uneducated in an attempt to bring them into the church, teaching them stories from the Bible. During the Dark Age, people suffered through disease, starvation, war, and strife. Many of the farmers and peasants during the time relied heavily on the church in their monasteries. During the Dark Ages, people experienced times of unanswered prayers and were hoping desperately for their Savior to return. They didn't have the luxuries and technologies of today. They couldn't read a newspaper, watch the news, or check the internet for current events. Freedom of information wasn't a part of the vocabulary either. The church considered a person's body as the property of the church during the Dark Ages. If you went against church teachings, you would be killed. Other religious beliefs were considered false teachings, and any people who didn't worship according to the Catholic Church, were called heretics. Gnostics died because they wouldn't convert, while hatred grew between Jews and Christians throughout Europe. During the Spanish Inquisition, Jews were forced to leave Spain to convert to Christianity. Muslims were exiled, and many Jews left with them because a lot of Jews and Muslims were also put to death. Since the Jewish Revolution against Rome, Jews were repeatedly expelled from one country after another. Today we take the word anti-Semitic for granted, but in early years it was actually a huge movement throughout Europe. The Catholic Church constantly accused the Jews of worshiping Lilith while sacrificing Gentile children on Sabbath. A few children were even considered Catholic saints, while court cases occurred in criminal courts. This isn't to say the accusations were true, only that it happened. If honestly looked at, though, you can easily connect the dots. These same tactics used against the Jews were the same used during the witch hunts and directly connected to the Catholic Church. New societies emerged that believed the Christian God to really be the evil, while some rejected him altogether. Some claimed the devil was God and the Hebrew God was the devil in disguise. Some people believe we should combine all religions into one. Others believe we are genetically manufactured, organic machines who are given emotions. The principle of vacuum theory believes that out of nothing something is created. We can free ourselves of dogma, which is plaguing society. Out of nothing something emerges, but does this really lead to nowhere? If we believe in the endless and bottomless pit, what becomes of us? Do we still place value on human life? Why the need of a new belief system, some would ask. Look at all the prayers given asking for protection in return for our love. The good deeds done in the name of a creator who just doesn't seem to care.